The shop would be Casa Grande Jewelry and Pawn. The owner of it's Ted Lowenthal, and he's just a good guy with a shop full of good people first and foremost. They primarily deal in jewelry, pretty high-end jewelry as well, and that's the bulk of their business. So PawnMaster's pretty much helped them for the last 10 years achieve everything they're looking for. They've always had a pleasant experience with us because they're understanding people who know that technology is imperfect, and we're always going to be there to help them. They always know that when they call, they're going to get somebody usually within 30 minutes or less, and it's going to be somebody who's happy to help them, happy to help work through the problem that they're having and reach a positive resolution. And if ever we can't fix their problem for whatever reason, we give them guidance on how to take care of that and maybe what to do to avoid it in the future. So they've always had a positive experience with us. When they reached out to me, the owner, Ted, was actually going on vacation, and the daughter wanted to kind of take the bull by the horns, and they were trying to do a whole hardware refresh. So she was really nervous about that. She didn't want anything to go wrong. She didn't want the shop to be down for any amount of time and cause any problems that would maybe stress him out on his vacation. So she called me up and was wondering what she could do as far as easing the process for her. Her computers were outdated, so she was feeling the pain of slow computers that weren't receiving Microsoft updates, from some of them being older on Windows XP, and then some Windows 7 that she just felt like were running slow, and they didn't really want to invest the money in upgrading the individual components in the computer, so they just went ahead and upgraded the computer. She was trying to switch from desktop PCs to laptops for everything, including her server, for the sake of mobility around the shop. So I spent some time with her explaining the hardware that she would want, at least what we would recommend. And then I explained the process for the actual changeover. And then when it came time, we did it on a business day, but it was during a slow period for them. It took them down for about an hour where they really didn't have any customers, and ultimately they felt no pain from the process, and Ted came back none the wiser and was happy to see a hardware refresh done. Hardware refreshes are something that people typically should do, I'd say every like 5 years, and the reason being is just because of the fact that new hardware is coming out. So the old computers that you have typically aren't going to be compatible with the new hardware, and then some of the newer hardware that you have is going to be taking firmware updates that the computer itself is not going to be able to handle. It's not going to stay updated with the hardware. So ultimately, if the operating system isn't up to date, or the computer itself isn't taking any operating system updates, then it's not going to be able to stay in sync with any of the hardware that you buy, and the computer is where it all starts. So the computer, I'd say, refresh every 5 years or so. As far as PawnMaster goes, it just needs a home. The program itself only gets updated when we go through and do an actual PawnMaster version update. And typically the updates are good to still stay with PawnMaster, to keep them updated for the sake of having the newest features and any fixes for any issues there may have been in the past. The PawnMaster doesn't change just because your computer does.